Welcome back to Subs in 15, the podcast where we go through 4 different segments of different sports and we try to stay on 15. Haven't been doing a good job of that lately, but you know what? We're making an attempt. I'm Ryan Gumm, and I'm here with my co-host Zach Combest, Derek Daniel, and special guest, sports editor for the Eastern Progress and host of the EP Sports Zone, Abby Hooven.
Hello.
Hello, what up?
Not much.
We just get, we get animated and run long sometimes. It's okay.
I just want to say that was the best intro I've ever done, so I'm just going to...
It was good.
It was pretty good.
Back.
It was pretty good.
Thank you. So, I guess we're just going to hop into it because we've had a pretty packed week of sports, and if we waste more time, we're going to have another Subs in 35. So, starting off, we're in college hoops. College basketball's done for this season, and it's kind of upsetting. Going to enter my state of depression because, man, it's going to be a long, not like 8 months. But in what did happen, Dawn Staley and her South Carolina Gamecocks plowed through the women's tournament, win the national championship. What'd you guys see from just that run?
They beat Louisville.
They beat Louisville.
That was huge, yeah.
Louisville.
They did beat Louisville. Zach, they beat Louisville.
It was sad. I mean, Haley Van Lith, though, for Louisville, struggled in that game. They got to the Final Four, though, so I'm proud of them getting that far.
Can't knock them down for that one.
You can't knock them. I mean, South Carolina's a great team. As you've seen, they lost 2 games this year. How can you beat a team like that? That's crazy.
Right. I mean, one of those two was to UK.
Ask
Well,
Kentucky.
look at Kentucky, how they did. Lost the first round.
And
so
then they lost
like
literally.
who? Princeton or somebody?
Princeton, yeah.
Then they lost everybody.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
everybody. So,
We're down bad next year.
yeah, but we're not talking about UK.
No.
We're talking about South Carolina, and specifically their game against UConn.
Blowout.
Yeah, I mean, well, it wasn't like that the whole game. It was an entertaining first half, and then you could just there was just this gear switch, which is weird because I felt like I haven't seen Gino Auriemma be what felt like outcoached. You know, like it just felt like every move Gino made, Staley had a match, and it was really fun to see, and I think in my mind it really cements her position not just as a coach on the women's side, but as a coach in any professional and college, men, women, it doesn't matter. So, yeah, I mean, and like we talked about last week, the petition to make her the men's coach. So.
We're for that, yeah. Yeah, that first quarter, though, 22-8 was the difference. South Carolina just, at the start, just showed their dominance. So it's tough to beat. It's tough to come back. You're down that much in the first quarter.
Just hop over to the UConn side. I think this is their, 14th straight Final Four. I mean, so, Gino's on an unreal run. He's going to stay on this run.
Yeah,
he's not going anywhere.
They haven't won a title since, was it 16 or 18? Which for them is a drought. It's odd to see them not win a title, especially because I remember, I think it was 16 because they lost to Notre Dame in McGraw's one of her final years.
Carolina won it in 17.
Yeah, but I don't think UConn's. It's either was it 16 or 18?
It was 16 because Notre Dame won in 18.
Yes, because of how do you pronounce her name? I love
Arike Ogunbowale.
Ogunbowale. I love her so much.
Best 3.
She's so good. See,
Yeah.
she talks about how being bad at pronunciation. She just spits it out right off the.
See, I know my Notre Dame players. I've got that.
Back to the point we were trying to make.
Yeah, UConn won in 2016 because they won 4 in a row when Brianna Stewart was there.
They were undefeated
but
for
since
2.5 seasons.
They've gotten back, but they haven't gotten back to the top.
No, which is like I said, it's a legit drought for them, and it's weird to see Gino Auriemma get outcoached.
I think it's given time for other schools to
shine.
Yes, but also build up their programs because now you see NC State, Stanford, Oregon,
Mississippi State.
Mississippi State. You have all these different places, whereas before it was UConn or Notre Dame.
Iowa was really good this year. Louisville, Creighton was shockingly in the tournament. They went on their Cinderella run. That was fun. The women's side was a lot of fun for those that missed it, and I feel like a lot of people did. What you think, Abby? As our women's bracket specialist, what do you think about people that potentially missed out? What did they miss out on?
We always see UConn dominate, so, people turn off TV when they see UConn, but I don't remember a time when they've gotten down that big late in the tournament either. So they're not used to those big deficits and those big games either.
Right.
So, I mean, getting down 22-8 in the first quarter, you're like, oh, shoot, what do we do? Because they're not always in that position.
Right.
And, I mean, South Carolina, they're the next dynasty. I mean, let's be real. If Gino Auriemma retires in the next 2 years, Dawn Staley, that's going to be the story. So you're missing out. Aaliyah Boston just dominated, coming back from last year, missing that buzzer beater in the semifinals. She had something to prove. So was nice for her to get a win as well.
Yeah, Boston had 11 points and 16 rebounds in 35 minutes.
Yeah.
The one thing that I noticed specifically watching the game was just UConn did not seem aggressive. Like they seem all like very passive, and I feel like the stat that really points to that was their free throw shooting. So I'm going to start with South Carolina. They shot 65%, which is really bad, but they went 17 for 26 from free throws. So they got to the line 26 times compared to UConn's 4. UConn shot 1 for 4 from the free throw line through the entire game. And that adds to it, just that competitiveness. UConn shot really bad too. They shot 4 of 16 from 3, 25%. Looking across, South Carolina didn't shoot very well at all. They shot 3 of 16 for 18%. But at the end of the day, when you're that much more aggressive, when you want it that much more, and South Carolina, other than Aaliyah Boston, they had Destani Henderson go off for 26 and 4 and 2. So it's just the stars, like I like to say, the stars starred. That was the case for South Carolina, and UConn had as much firepower in my eyes. They just weren't aggressive.
And this was the second lowest UConn had scored this season, and it comes at the biggest stage. Like you're fighting for the title, and then you have your second worst game of the season. Like that's just obviously it's not an opportune time to play as bad as they did, but also I think, like you were saying, you just got to tip your hat to South Carolina for playing a great game.
They also out-rebounded UConn 49-24. Which is ridiculous. That is a huge rebound.
It's very
differential.
tippable.
Yeah.
It's one of those games where, like, yes, UConn probably could have played better, should have played better, but, like, at the end of the day, just, like, tip your hat to South Carolina. It's like you played your best. We did not.
They look like they just wanted it more. I was talking about being aggressive. You look at these other stats, and they're very similar in terms of turnovers. UConn had 15. South Carolina had 14. South Carolina had 6 steals to UConn's 4. UConn had 5 blocks to South Carolina's 4. So it's just like UConn actually out-assisted South Carolina 14-9. It's just like all those stats that like usually you'd see be blown out of proportion were very close. And I feel like that did represent like the first half of the game. But then like we were talking about, the aggressiveness, just the more of the want to win the game shows in the fouls, in the rebounds. And that's in my eyes what did it. That was the turning point.
Yeah, and South Carolina's the same way with Louisville, though, holding them to 59 points, one of the lowest for Louisville as well for the season. So it just proves that they'll hold you down. Defensive-wise, they're shut down, lockdown defense. That's tough to beat. So, like you said, hats off to them because amazing run in the tournament. Beating some good teams after losing to, like in the regular season, to Kentucky. So, they've proven that they're the champs. But let's go over to the men's side, though. Mm-hmm. We talked about it last week. I was kind of surprised that Duke North Carolina game. We'll start there.
I just want to talk about that Final Four. I'm so happy that you bring that up because listen, you watch that Villanova Kansas game and you're like, this is fun. It's great. Like Villanova just didn't have the
exactly
firepower.
what we said would happen.
Exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Villanova didn't have the firepower. Kansas was hot at the right time. One of the best defensive teams in the nation. That storyline played out itself kind of like what we were describing. But the second that we started getting into the hype for the UNC game, all the way to the tip, I can't remember exactly how they did it, but they had this really cool angle where they went straight down onto the guys that were tipping, and you got to see the arena, and you just felt that this was like before the game even began, you were just like, this is going to be something that I'm going to remember for my life. Mm-hmm. And it lived up to it from the opening tip. It was just so much fun to watch. What's your guys' thoughts on it?
I think first and foremost, we have to thank North Carolina for giving America the most joy it's had in a long time, unless you're a Duke fan.
Yeah.
But, looking at that, Coach K ended his career at a 500 record against North Carolina.
50-50.
Like,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
You have the outright most bragging rights of any school that you beat your rival. He's now 50-50 against you. Mm-hmm. His last game ever lost to you. Mm-hmm. I don't think Duke's going anywhere, but you can't come back from that. Like, you can't tell me that they're better than North Carolina now.
No,
you can't.
It's still so. It's weird because both programs are in a state of flux. I think obviously North Carolina. I think what you're saying is true because North Carolina is in a more forward and progressed position because Hubert Davis turned it around, and I think that just helps that program so much more. Because like in January, we would have said, who knows when we see Carolina back to where they are. But now that, I think the other thing too is that K is still going to be he's going to be like a correspondent,
like an ambassador,
and whatever. So his recruiting's still going to be there. So I don't think they fall off as far because he's not going to be going anywhere other than he won't be on the sideline. You know, he'll be in the stands, but like and off-season stuff, he'll still be around, probably doing the exact same stuff. So it'll be tough. I think both will probably be in a very similar spot, but I do think I'd give the edge to Carolina for the future 2 to 3 years. And it's going to be fun. Like, it's going to be interesting to see how each program kind of adapts to these changes. But man, I just want to get back to this game. Just looking at these stats, like when you were watching it, you knew that everything was close. But looking at some of these, like, you would have thought that Duke had the upper hand. Just because, so Carolina out-fouled Duke 19-18, pretty close. Carolina had 10 turnovers to Duke's 4. Duke turned the ball over 4 times in the entire game and lost. When do you ever hear that? Like, that, to me, like, that just seems so, like, rare. Mm-hmm. You take care of the ball as well as you do. Your players play as well as they did, and you lose the game. Like, it's insane. Like, free throws we were talking about earlier with the Carolina-UConn, how one team obviously seemed like they wanted it more. Each team shot 20 free throws. Like, it just didn't seem to me. Like, I think the one thing that you can point to that was the obvious difference maker was the three-point percentage. Carolina shot 10 of 26 and Duke 5 of 22, which makes a big difference. Yeah. But man, just like all these intangibles, like even the rebounds were close, 41 to 50 in favor of Carolina. But still, it was just in terms of just being just a basketball purist, stepping back and just looking at it, watching Carolina with the first-year head coach, with no bench other than who showed himself to be a decent six-man and Puff Johnson in the national championship. Mm-hmm. All they had was their starting 5 and then Puff Johnson when they needed him. That's it. Davis, Love, Black, Manick, and Baycott. That's all they had. That was their squad. And they went to the national championship. So I love it.
I don't know. I mean, like, Caleb Love got 28 in that game. You can't tell me.
Big.
No, that's what I'm saying.
And RJ Davis had 18. So, like, they showed out big.
Yeah.
In the Duke game?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, looking now at the national championship, Caleb Love really disappointed me because this was his time. Like, he's their star. RJ Davis is like the sidekick, and Baycott is the man, right? But Baycott, for everyone knows, rolled his ankle. It was really bad in the Final Four on Saturday. And then he rolls it again with under a minute left. And I was disgusted by that. It was so sad. Like, just one of the worst things you could see in that situation. But when it was his time to shine, Caleb Love just bricked layups. Mm-hmm. He's so sneaky and he's so slick to get to the rim. He puts on these really good drives. Like, he can shoot it a little bit, but the way his dribble drive is so nice. Like, someone like Calipari would love that with his drive and kick offense. But Caleb, like, he gets to the basket. And sometimes these jellies that he does, and these slick, just lay-ins. Like on Saturday was awesome. But then on Monday, yesterday or 2 days ago, he was bricking layups. So
5 of 24 from the field.
It's just like the lights were too bright. Like, and it's really disappointing from somebody who led that team as much as he did. Obviously, Baycott was the guy, but like, I was highly disappointed because I thought Caleb Love was going to go off. What's your thoughts, Abby?
I was personally rooting for Kansas.
Really?
I don't mind UNC and Duke dominating. Like, it happens. I know that, but just knowing they haven't won since 2008. I feel like it kind of meant a little bit more to them. Yes, Hubert Davis, it would have been nice to win in his first year there, but I don't know. Some about that Kansas team there. They're supposed to win in 2020. Of course, the tournament got canceled, so, who knows what would have happened there, but some of those guys were there. They know how it felt, and so just being able to win for that team, I think, meant a little bit more to them. Mm-hmm. But when you look at it at the end, North Carolina had not one but 2 shots to tie it at the end. Kansas steps out of bounds, but their 3 was just way off.
That was wild. How do you step out with 4 seconds left?
Yeah.
And where the out of bounds line is. Like, that's probably one of the first things is like, where is it?
Exactly. But and to add credence to what we were saying about Caleb Love and to what you just said, those final 2 shots were by Caleb Love.
Yeah.
The first shot he took was unnecessary, just complete, like 25 feet out.
Oh, yeah.
Just so beyond NBA range for no reason. There was like 5-6 seconds left on the clock.
There's still enough time to at least take a couple more dribbles.
Oh, attack the basket, kick it. Manick will be open somewhere. Leaky Black's been
I think that's what they were going to do is they were trying to go to Manick at the end.
He slipped.
And
then
he
slips and falls
Yeah.
and can't get back up.
Yeah.
And I don't think they had a timeout, unfortunately, so like he couldn't do anything.
Because even afterwards, they were like, that was the play, was to get it to Manick.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if he hadn't have fallen, who knows? But
yeah,
you can't think about what ifs.
But
No, you're right.
Yeah.
you know, but of all this, like Kansas's star Abaji wasn't even like the leading scorer of that game, leading rebounder. He didn't lead anything.
Mm-hmm.
David McCormick.
That, I better say, that's the guy that was the man.
You're telling me
that
this
game.
man, David McCormick, got a double-double to win you a title?
Mm-hmm.
I would never have seen
If
that.
I'm not mistaken, he hit the final 2 shots to put the game out of reach too.
I mean, like, I haven't watched Kansas much this year, but, like, I wouldn't have told you that. I told you we were going to Abaji
Yeah,
because he's your guy.
they backed down Manic, who played, and that's another note too. As we're winding down here, Manic played very good defensively. Teams just constantly attacked him on like in the back, like they back him down in the post. He got 3 blocks in the first half in the national championship game, held his ground, but late in the game, especially with Bay caught out, you don't have your help. It showed, and McCormick made him pay, and now he's a national champion.
Great Final Four run, great tournament games, and that's the end of college hoops.
All right, next segment, we've got the NFL, free agent season full swing, off-season time, and it's draft season. So first, in recent moves, the Dolphins trade Devante Parker to the Patriots. Let me see here. I have the trade details. So the Dolphins send Parker and a 2022 fifth-round pick to New England for a 2023 third-round selection. So I guess we'll start with that. What do you guys think of this deal?
Yeah, I think that's a good move for the Patriots. I mean, Devante Parker, we've seen it year in, year out. He's a good player. Battled injuries for a few years at the Dolphins, but, I mean, he's been consistent. He's a go-to wide receiver, skilled player out of Louisville. He's been in the NFL since 2015, and he was a first-round pick as well. I think it's a good move for him. What do you guys think?
I think it's nice to get Mac Jones some help now because, I mean, before we had, like, N'Keal Harry, Jacoby Myers.
Mm-hmm.
You go out and you sign Ty Montgomery and Devontae Parker now. So I think they're building that offense around Mac Jones, and I think Bill Belichick's, kind of, figuring out what Mac's, strengths and weaknesses are, what's his play style like to be.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think it's a great move because Devontae Parker's a great player.
He is. The thing about Devontae Parker is that his targets and receptions have gone down over the last few years. He had his career season in 19 where he had 128 targets, 72 receptions, 1,202 yards, and 9 touchdowns. So that's a really solid season. But then after that, like you said, injuries and the quarterback carousel, the issues with Tua really kind of hindered him. The year after that, he had 63 receptions for 793 yards. And the year after that, this past season, he had 40 receptions and 515 yards. Both he had 0. Actually, I'm lying. This past year, he had 2 touchdowns, and the year before that, he had 4. So, I mean, yeah, like what you said, injuries and not, lack of playing time, and now the coaching changes and the quarterback like, I don't think that's necessarily his fault. I feel like whenever he's played well. Mm-hmm. And to what you guys were saying, I really think that you add an actual weapon to Mac Jones after Mac Jones had that kind of season under Belichick, like in an already difficult AFC. Mm-hmm. It just keeps getting worse. Like it gets easier. The Bengals make it to the Super Bowl, and the rest of the AFC's like, this can't happen. Yeah. So, yeah, great move for the Patriots.
Yeah, he has the experience. I mean, played in 93 regular season games, 64 starts, accumulated 338 receptions, over 4,000 yards, 24 touchdowns. He has that experience, which is going to help them. So I think that's a good pickup for them, but they need more than just Devontae Parker. They need to add more pieces to that wide receiver core.
Ty Montgomery, like Derek said, is a good start, and Devontae Parker is a good second piece. Yep.
They got Kendrick Bourne. Was he wasn't there last year, was he?
I think he was.
He was? Yeah. I thought he was in San Francisco.
That's a great question.
I think he might have been there 2 years ago.
Now that you say it, I'm blanking, but I'm pretty sure he was in New England.
Okay.
But anyway, from one wide receiver to the other, this one's staying home. Stephon Diggs signs a massive extension to stay in Buffalo, a 4-year, $96 million extension. Well-deserved. And it comes shortly after, and I'm going to get to why I think this whole thing happened. The Diggs brothers said that they wouldn't mind playing together. And I think the Bills freaked out and said no. So then, a week or two later, in comes the extension. I feel like Stephon probably used that as a leverage to get more money. Which, I mean, he deserves, but it's kind of, in my mind, it's kind of funny. He's like, I want to go play with my brother. And the Bills were like, no, you do not. You do not want to go anywhere. So, yeah, what you guys think of the signing?
I mean, that's huge. I mean, just the money, too, looking at that, of what he's going to be getting, including his contract he's in now, it's going to be $124 million. Like, You can't beat that.
No.
You can't beat that. Like, that is such a good deal. He couldn't have let that down. So, I mean, that's it's good to keep him there. Mm-hmm. It's a good extension.
I think if they were to play together, it'd probably be on the Bills. Because although, like, as far as the Bills' defense goes, I think they're pretty set at, like, safety and cornerback.
Yeah.
Micah Hyde, really good.
It's going to be hard to tear away.
And you just got Von Miller. I don't think you have the cap space.
Definitely not. But, like, I've said it before. I did not like the Von Miller signing. It's good for the first maybe year and a half, maybe 2.
Yeah, because they've been in that, like, Super Bowl contention like, space for, a little bit. So, like, now you sign him, you might get your, like, put you over the edge. Because defense is where they've always struggled in the playoffs.
Right.
I mean, they gave up 42 against the Chiefs last year.
Right.
So, if they can, like, get their defense just a tad bit better, the offense is fine. Offense is staying the same. Mm-hmm. Well, they did get rid of Cole Beasley. I don't know if they're bringing Emmanuel Sanders back. So, Josh Allen might lose some weapons, but he'll be fine.
Yeah.
Josh Allen's top 5.
Thoughts, Zach?
Yeah. I mean, I think Josh Allen, is top 5. I mean, the way he plays, I mean, and especially the pieces now he has around him, it's going to make him even better. So, I mean, I just saw this kind of fun fact here. Diggs' receptions and receiving yards are the first and fourth most of any player in their first 2 seasons with the team in the NFL history. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's pretty good. You can't beat that. So, what do you think about it, Abby?
I mean, since he's been traded there, he's top 10 receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns. So when you get a guy like that to stay, especially when you're trying to get back into more of a playoff contention, I mean, you can't beat that.
I'm just interested to see. So my biggest thing about these teams, right, and I call it the Lamar Jackson effect because I think that that's the best example to set right now. Is that teams that don't necessarily change have a tendency to do worse the year after, obviously, right? Like yes, you keep Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen's going to be Josh Allen, but like you said, you lose some of those secondary weapons that usually took some targets away from Stephon, but also made the defense move and got Stephon more openings. And the Chiefs are another prime example because, their receiving core right now is Travis Kelce and Juju Smith-Schuster, which is all right. But I wonder how defenses, number one, will adjust because they don't have to change their adjustments as much. You know what I mean? Like they kind of know what to expect. And 2, what will the coaching staff in Buffalo implement to try to throw in wrinkles with less weapons? So I like Abby and like we've all been saying, I like the signing. You have to do it if you want to stay in contention. But I don't know if that's enough, especially in a packed AFC. I like the Bills, but not that much.
I mean, they went out and got Jamison Crowder from the Jets, so that's a weapon. They got O.J. Howard from the Bucks, but I mean Dawson Knox is your number 1 tight end there, so I don't see him playing that much unless they do like a 2 tight end, kind of like Sean McVay style offense, which very well could. We see it works. I think is it McDermott?
Oh yeah, Sean McDermott.
Yeah, Sean McDermott.
Yeah.
Like I think he was with Sean McVay for a while, wasn't he?
I don't think so, actually. Let me look.
I mean, I could be totally wrong, but like obviously Sean McVay's style of offense works and wins titles.
I don't think he. I don't.
So if McDermott's trying to do that with going out and getting O.J. Howard and getting, not maybe have some like great receivers, maybe they get one in the middle of the season, like Los Angeles did with O.J.
Right.
Or not O.J. Odell.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that working, but like you're saying, we're losing a lot of talent. Like Cole Beasley and Emmanuel Sanders have been in this league for a while. They've been doing this for a while. They've tried and trued, Emmanuel was at Denver for a while. Cole Beasley was down in Dallas. Like they proved themselves there. They kind of fell off in Buffalo, but that's just because Diggs is unreal.
Right.
Like he's a top 3 wide receiver.
And Jamison Crowder is a good point, but I don't think he does more than anything that those 2 you just named did. I feel like he's the filler piece, and he will play the exact same way that one of those 2 did when they were on the field, which is kind of what I was saying. Like you didn't add once again, Jamison Crowder's a great receiver, but he's not someone that will make you change your game plan against Buffalo. You know what I mean? Like you spy Josh, you double Stephon, throw your other corner on Jamison, and then you just go to work. Like. I feel like that'll be the game plan against Buffalo, and I feel like as the season rolls on, those wrinkles in the defense start getting more and more. I can see Buffalo starting hot and slowly start losing these games, whereas these other teams that have improved, i.e. the Bengals, i.e. like, hey, you can't say I'm wrong. I know you're laughing over there. You can't say I'm wrong because we plugged up our biggest moment. Caleb said it last week.
Yeah.
So like, you know what I'm trying to say. The point
I
is,
got you.
the Bills haven't improved enough for me to be like Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Another receiver I want to talk about that's on the move is Marquez Valdez-Scantling from Green Bay to Kansas City. So they got another weapon there in Kansas City for Mahomes. I think that hurts Green Bay more than it helps Kansas City.
I agree.
Because you have gotten rid of every single target Rodgers has. I mean, who do you have left? You have Alan Lazard. You have A.J. Dillon. You have Aaron Jones. Who's next? You're tied in towards ACL. He might not even be back this season.
Yeah.
Who do you have? And as a Packers fan, I'm pissed. Like, what are we doing? We were almost to the title last season.
But Derek, you have Aaron Rodgers.
I don't care. I will take some John Doe off the street if I can get a receiver to go catch a ball. Alan Lazard's injury prone. He was out last season, out the season before.
So are you saying that you would have rather moved on from Aaron Rodgers and still have Devante than to keep Aaron and move on from Adams?
Yes.
Really?
Here's my hot take. Okay, Devante as a top 3 receiver is better than Aaron Rodgers as a top 3 quarterback. Because, listen, receivers can go make plays. You're telling me a quarterback can make off like an 80-yard run like Devante could on like a screenplay?
Okay, like I get what you're saying.
I just think
like,
having Devante, because I mean, like I was saying, I would rather go get Jimmy G from San Francisco than like.
And I feel
have
you.
Devante.
I mean, he has more wins in the playoffs this past year in Green Bay than Aaron Rodgers had. So
Exactly.
So, or as many, I should say. But no, it's as many, or I mean more than. I get what you're saying. Like I feel I'm picking up what you're putting down, and I put it back down because my point is Tom Brady in Tampa Bay had all kinds of injuries to receivers. He had one quit, and we won't go over that. But and that team was still really good. So I get what you're saying, and Devante is obviously better than Mike Evans, and he's better than those receivers in Tampa Bay, and that Tampa Bay wide receiver core is a lot deeper. But I'd much rather have Aaron Rodgers throwing it to a guy that might catch it than have, say, a nobody, a John Doe off the street throwing to Devante Adams, because then the ball just wouldn't get to him. So that, I get what you're saying, but that's just my rebuttal and my opinion back.
As long as we get him weapons in the draft, it's fine.
Oh
But
yeah, which you won't do.
we won't. We'll go draft another quarterback because Jordan Love sucks.
He's so bad.
So we'll get a replacement to our replacement, which will never. It'll just piss Rodgers off. We won't go anywhere. We won't have any weapons, and we'll be like last in the North this season, and we'll lose to the Bears, which will piss me off even more.
Yeah. Gonna have the Carolina effect where you're paying both your replacements and then you bring back the guy that you replaced twice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, it's sad, man. It's sad times over here in the Green Bay camp. I mean, I don't know what we're gonna do.
Abby, give us your opinions on everything we're putting down.
I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Yeah, I know.
Of course you are.
I know. But I respect Cincinnati's run. I'm not one of those people that's like, I hate Cincinnati. But
Not a true Steelers fan.
if you, yeah, I know. But, of course I'm sad Big Ben's leaving, but it was well beyond time for him to leave. He should have left like 3 years ago, But, we've got Tom Brady making the switcheroo coming back, but then you've got Gronk. He's like, I'm not so sure I want to come back now. So will he come back? Will he not? The coach just left. So do you see him coming back?
I don't think Gronk comes back. I don't think. But also Bruce Arians kind of throws like a fork in the machine. It's like, what happens now, right? Because he obviously retired to go to a front office job. And I think who they were replacing with was it
Todd Bowles.
Yeah, Todd
who was
Bowles.
their defensive coordinator.
Yeah. So I think defense will stay the same. Offensively, I want to see how that works out with Tom.
They didn't lose their OC, did they? Because
No.
if I'm not mistaken, Bruce Arians was also defensive coach. So if they still got their OC, I don't think anything changes at all, in the coaching staff. I think the biggest question is, okay, Gronk retires again.
You lose O.J. Howard.
And O.J. Howard's gone. Who's going to be your tight end? Who's going to be
Cameron
that? Say what?
Cameron Brate.
Yeah, but is he going to be able to fill those shoes? Because
I think it was Jameis Winston's last season with the Bucs. He had a pretty good season. Obviously not like a Travis Kelce or a Mark Andrews, but top 10, so it wasn't terrible. So
Right.
he obviously has the talent.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I don't think there are any like Kyle Pitts in this draft.
No.
So, I don't think you're getting one out of the draft.
Mm-hmm.
I think what you need more for anything with Tom is receivers. Because like you were saying, you lost AB. He's gone. He wants to go to Kansas City now, which if he goes there, that'll be a mess.
Yeah, he'll be TikTok dancing with Juju and Jackson Mahomes and
Gosh.
on a bummed ankle that he refuses
Yeah.
to get surgery on because he wants to get paid first. And
If AB goes to Kansas City's not getting – they'll be in last place in that division, which they could be anyways because the West is just absurd. But if AB signs with Kansas City, that is guaranteeing them fourth. Because as good as AB is, I think he hurts the locker room.
oh, he does.
Yeah.
I'm going to say this because we're running out of time. We're 10 seconds left. And this is my hot take. You ready for this? So all I've heard is how like a lot of like Bengals haters, and I'm not looking at you, Abby, directly, but I'm looking at you,
I don't
Is-
hate them
is-
as bad as people might think.
is how Cincinnati will miss the playoffs completely. Okay? Like this is hate. Just blatant disrespect. I'm telling you right now, I don't think Kansas City makes the playoffs. Like you said, they finished fourth in the AFC West. I don't. I like we were describing everything else. Like other teams have improved, and we talk about teams that haven't or gotten worse. I mean, you lost most of your weapons. You lost your best weapon, and you lost all of that side, like his sidekicks and all of his like production.
And possibly Matthew.
Yeah.
Or not Matthew.
Tyrann Matthews from the
Tyrann
defensive side.
Matthew,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's gone. No, he's not coming back because of money issues. I don't think Kansas City. I think Cincinnati does make the playoffs, and that's not biased at all. And I look at the rest of the West, and I look at the rest of the AFC, and I'm thinking, okay, this team has done nothing but get worse, and people give them so much respect, and I get why. But listen, you can't have just a quarterback and a coach and think you'll go somewhere because you won't. You have to have the entirety of the team, and they're a mediocre team at best, even with Patrick Mahomes. And when I look at them currently, and that's the end of this segment. Shoot me your hate all you want. I'm not changing my mind. On to the next one.
All right, so our next segment is going to be the MLB and college baseball. Let's start out with spring training. Finally getting the season started. April 7th is opening day.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow. Literally, that's pretty quick, ain't it? What's y'all's thoughts on it, Derek? You can kick it off.
Like looking at spring training, some teams that I thought would be good that aren't, the Dodgers. I mean, they're struggling right now. I mean, obviously, like spring training, it's kind of like, not spring football, but like the preseason football. You don't play your best players all the time. But man, the Dodgers are 5-9. Like they are not doing good. A team that's really surprised me are the Rangers. They are 10-6. They're second in the Cactus League, which I don't know. Like for anyone at home that doesn't know, spring training, doesn't matter what division you are or what like side of the league you're in, you're just kind of randomly thrown into two. You have the cactus and the grapefruits. Yeah, Ryan's looking at me like, what? But it's the cactus and the grapefruits.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, like the Reds are up there. They're doing pretty good. But when you look at it, the AL side of things is doing better. 3 out of the top 5 teams on both sides are from the American League. So that might be expected with the new changes of like a universal DH because AL's been playing this way the whole time. So, I mean, yeah, it'll be interesting to see because like on the NL side, you have the Cubs and the Reds are doing really good. And you have the Cardinals who are doing really good, all in the same division. And then on the AL side, the Astros, the Rangers, the A's, and the Mariners, all in the same division, are doing really good too. So it'll be interesting to see.
Not gonna lie, I'm still caught on grapefruit. Are you serious?
I'm dead
I
serious.
didn't know this. I just thought it was preseason, like spring training. The cactus and the grapefruit.
Now, cactus is okay because they're out in like Arizona, so that makes sense.
I mean, that's or whatever.
But-
the grapefruit. Where are they playing?
Arizona.
What does a grapefruit have to do with Arizona? See, this is what. What kind of sport is this?
They put it through a name
It's
generator.
America's
Just whatever
pastime.
comes
Not
up.
anymore. It's stripped. I strip it. That's. I don't even know, man. I know you continued and kept giving information, but not gonna lie, it's like gone. Like I didn't catch any of it because the only thing that I kept thinking of was grapefruit. Why? Who named this?
I don't know.
This makes me angry. Like why? Like don't. Just call it. The AL and what's the other one?
AL,
NL. I was right. Okay, yeah. Just call it that. And then
But that's not it. Like you have teams from both leagues, and
Yeah, they're all mixed together.
why though? Why? I don't understand. Why are you so complicated? I hate baseball. Everything about it's just so complicated for no reason. That's my take for the day. No reason. It's just like why? Don't understand you people. Just make it simple.
what's wrong with
That's
grapefruit?
right.
That is simple.
What did you ask that question again?
What's wrong with grapefruit?
Exactly. There's everything wrong with it. It makes no sense.
Okay, if it's not grapefruit, what is it?
I don't care. That's the thing. The NL.
The oranges?
The
Oranges.
You know,
Oranges down in
It's
Florida,
great.
maybe?
How about not call it a fruit? Cactus? Fine, makes sense. Call them, like, I don't know, the prairie dogs. I don't care. Like,
Prairie
whatever.
Pears. He about said pears.
Pears.
Don't make it a fruit, but call them
No,
pears.
I couldn't think of the word for prairie. Like, I kept seeing the animal in my head. Like, this is why I don't watch baseball.
Yeah.
Like, it's so weird.
Oh, man.
That's the hot
Gosh.
take for the
I
day.
will say though, like out of everything so far in the preseason for baseball, my favorite has been the new Budweiser cans. I don't even drink beer, but the new Budweiser cans look fantastic. Like I have the picture. I'll have to show you all.
I just want the.
And Ryan, I don't know if we can, but like I want you to throw up like this picture.
I'm pretty sure I can't, but
What, like for like royalty reasons? Or
no. Well, that and I'm like we're family friendly, so alcohol
Yes,
is a
we are.
no-no.
Family
But
show.
you can look
Oh,
it
those
up
are
yourself.
nice.
That's what I'm saying.
Driving
Like,
up sales right there.
Yeah,
That is
but like so like I see
great
these
marketing.
right. Like I see these yesterday.
I don't see the grapefruit can.
Okay.
That is a
I like
nice
that.
Reds one.
Yeah, like it's like I see these yesterday and I get hype. I'm like, I don't drink, but you know what? These are cool. Like
It's
it'd be
cool
cool
to
to
have a
have.
game, yeah.
It'd be cool to have.
I'm-
They're sold only in the cities of the teams.
I'm going to
pretty
send
cool,
in a submission to Adam Silver. And I'm going to get like random 10 teams, 3 leagues in the NBA for the preseason. And I'm going to call it, I don't know, like underwear and belt. Like in the belt league. And that's going to be
You
what it's
just
going to
said
be
we're
called.
family friendly, bro.
You know, I don't care. That's what it's going to be, okay? Like this makes no sense. You know that the MLB is like low on stuff. I mean, it starts tomorrow, but you know the MLB has little news when we're talking about league names.
Yes.
Like,
Let's get back on track.
gosh.
I want to talk about the Reds, the opening day starter, Tyler Mahle, getting the start first, opening day career start. That's pretty big. He's 27 years old, young kid, you know. He's 13-6 overall, 3.75 ERA, 210 strikeouts, 180 innings last season. He's a good pitcher. I like him. So, what y'all's thought on that? And against the Braves, too, which is going to be tough on national TV.
Braves are good.
Yep.
Well, they're not as good, but I mean, obviously they're World Series champions, so like you can't knock them until like they prove us otherwise. I did see something the other day. It was a Braves fan, obviously. And I'm going to shout out our, sports commentator, Wes Chandler, who's a Braves fan. I have a bone to pick with him because I'm an Astros fan, obviously. But like somebody said, the Braves could go 162-0 and still be projected like second in the NL like division. And I'm like, I don't know why the Braves get so much hate. Like they're a good team. So it'll be interesting to see if the Reds can pull off that win there.
But the Braves, though, losing Freddie Freeman, will that affect how they play?
Yeah, but like they also got can't remember, I think they got Matt Olson from the A's, so like they replaced Freddie with a good first baseman, so like that definitely hurts them. Which, talking about Freddie and like I was saying, the Dodgers are not good, which is surprising with how much star power they have. I mean, they basically built an all-star defense and have a pretty good pitching rotation. One of the best pitching rotations, Clayton Kershaw and Walker Buehler. And so far, it has not produced. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see, like, if that's just, like, spring training or if that, like, carries over into the season.
Yeah.
So, Abby, you got any takes?
I'm not a huge MLB fan. That's not my preferred sport of choice. Like Ryan, I'd rather watch basketball, but I've got family down in Houston, so gotta root for the Astros.
The Astros table over there.
Yes.
We don't miss
Yeah,
you
I
guys.
knew we were next to each
That
other
is
for a
why
reason.
you guys
Yeah.
were placed over there, and
Yes.
why we are over here.
This is the Astros table.
Wonder why
right
you're
here.
not hosting? I'm just kidding.
At-
If somebody gives me an Astros beer can, I will love you.
Just
That's all I
frame
want,
it,
'cause
put
they're
it
only
up,
in Houston.
never touch
They're
it.
They're only in Houston.
No one's going to do that.
That's so upsetting.
You can get us a Cincinnati one though.
Listen,
Yeah,
if I get
that's true.
one from Houston, I'll bring it back for
Oh,
you.
thank you.
I'll find a way to get you one.
Appreciate it. I was like,
Of course.
I mean, I don't know how much we're going to talk about, like, beer, because I don't know. Like,
Once again, in real MLB news, Jose Ramirez signs a 5-year, $124 million extension to stay in Cleveland. I will not say their actual name now. because it's
Guardians.
Gross.
Guardians.
See, it's
Yeah.
gross.
What's wrong with the
But yeah,
Guardians?
so what's a real question, baseball?
Okay.
What does this move do for the Guardians?
I mean, it keeps their pitching rotation pretty good. Like, Jose Ramirez is a pretty good pitcher. So I think it keeps them, like, in the running. I don't think this makes them, like, a contender still, because I think Minnesota, or not Minnesota. Or, wait, yeah, no, it is Minnesota. The Twins. Like, I still think the Twins will win that league. It'll be either the Twins or the White Sox, in my opinion.
What do the Guardians have to do to be on that next level, in your opinion? Either one of you.
I mean, first off, they got to trade up to get some. I know they got good pitchers, but they need some outfielders as well to go along with that. And also, I mean, they're kind of a team in transition. New name, some new players there. I think it's going to make the Reds rivalry, though, even more better because of that signing. But I'm not a fan of Cleveland.
Actually, I want to correct myself. Jose Ramirez plays third, but they still do have a good pitching rotation with Shane Bieber.
But you do bring up an interesting point. Does a name change really affect the team that much? Because in my opinion,
it's a lot
it
of things.
shouldn't.
It's more than the name. It's more of like the fan base is now kind of shifted as well. You got to think of the other around the picture. You know, it's other things. Just a name change for a lot of teams, a lot of like fans, the fan support, all of that is also affected by the way they're changing their brand. It won't affect how the players really play on the field. It'll affect the outside noise that they have to deal with. But yeah, I don't like the name. I don't like Cleveland though. I'm a Reds fan, so that Ohio the rivalry there. That's I always root against used to be Indians, now Guardians. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're going to be competitive. Like, they got second last year, in which was the worst division in all of baseball. So I don't see them having any more change this year. So
Interesting.
Some big opening day games though coming up. I think the biggest one opening day is Braves and Reds, 8 o'clock national TV. Cubs and Brewers is a great NL Central matchup. That's going to be the first game of opening day tomorrow at 2:20. Some weird times. And then the nightcap will be the D-backs and and Padres at 9:40. So some good games there.
Astros and Angels play at 9:42. Don't you be hating.
Actually 9:38.
Oh,
Just to clarify.
bite me. Listen,
Are there any marquee matchups that you guys are looking forward to specifically with those opening day games?
Astros and the Angels.
Well, you don't.
Well, no,
Of
listen,
course.
but here's why. I'm not even not even for the Astros' sake. Shohei Ohtani. He's the opening day starter,
Yeah.
reigning MVP.
Yep.
See if he can repeat it,
Yeah.
because it'll be interesting to see how they play that with the new DH rule.
Yeah. Interesting.
So-
So Zach, your game?
Mine is going to be actually on Friday. It's a game that was supposed to be on Thursday, got postponed because of weather. Yankees and the Red Sox. That rivalry goes back forever. It's going to be in Boston, Big Green Giant, the big wall they have. That's going to be the best one, though. Just the history behind that game. It might not be a good game, but at least it's a fun, atmosphere to watch. So I'm looking for that. What about you, Abby?
You know, he took the Astros. So, but, I mean, like you said, Red Sox, Yankees. I mean, we know that rivalry goes back forever, but starting the season with the rivalry, I mean, we had to wait a little bit longer for the season to start, so just building up that anticipation for that game, I'm excited to see the atmosphere there.
Let's move on to some college baseball. We got 3 minutes left. EKU baseball, Abby, you are expert on.
I've been a fan of this team from the start, and if you're not watching, you should start watching. We're 18-3 in the past 21 games. Won 8 in a row, 9 in a row at home. I mean, we're on fire. We've got the third longest win streak
Third
in
longest
NCAA.
win streak, fourth longest home win streak.
Yeah. I mean,
We're cooking.
It's crazy.
we've got Kendall Ewell hitting at least 500, 600 in ASUN play. Got Will King, who before last weekend only struck out 6 times and 87 at bats. It's just
It's
crazy how hot we are. 10 runs in the last 5 games. I mean,
And the teams that
It's
we're
hard to
beating,
beat.
like Jacksonville State, beating UK since first time since 2016, I believe it
Yeah.
was. Like some of these teams are really good teams that were just dominating, like beating Kentucky 6-3.
I think our last
Lexington,
loss
yeah.
was.
It's been a while. It was
no,
North
North
Alabama.
North
But before
Alabama.
that, it was Tennessee. And I want to talk about Tennessee for a second.
Yeah.
Tennessee's on a 20-game win streak, 26 at home. That's dating back to last season. They're 28-1 on the season.
Jeez.
And it's not like they're, playing little nobody schools. Like they played Ole Miss, who's top 10. Their only loss is to Texas, who was like third.
Didn't they recently beat Vanderbilt too?
He swept Vanderbilt, who is, I think, was fourth. You're telling me you're sweeping Vanderbilt, who is fourth in the nation? That's just unreal. I don't know what Tennessee's got cooking down there, but they're on fire. And, I mean, I think at this point you can call it their World Series to lose.
Interesting. So
Yeah.
you talking about Tennessee and that college baseball World Series. Who would they be, in your opinion, most likely to see across from them, and who would be most likely to upset them? As you said, it's theirs to lose. Who's going to be the team to make them lose if they do? Either one of you, it's open question.
Looking at it, I would probably say Arkansas. Arkansas is really good. They're another SEC team. They're 21-5 on the season, so it's not like they're bad. Virginia's pretty good this year. They're usually pretty decent. Louisville's making a run.
They are?
They're up to 12, so you can't knock them.
After that rough start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Texas is still in the top 10. They have already beat Tennessee, or their only loss, so they obviously have the formula for at least one game. So, you got a few contenders, but I don't want to I still don't think
You don't
It's
want to
still a
lock
little
down.
early,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's
got some
fair. I
games.
mean,
I mean,
it's
we're-
just like mid. I know it's middle of the season. I know that's a hard question to answer, but you did say that it was Tennessee's to lose. So
in my
right
opinion,
now
yeah.
it is.
So my question is who's and as you guys answered very eloquently, and it's just, it's interesting to see who else would actually be in the running for that because Tennessee is so hot.
Yeah, I'm liking Texas Tech and Oklahoma State. Those two teams, I feel like they're always good in baseball, but I think this year they're looking even better. I mean, Texas Tech 24-6. They were 7th in the ranking, now 4th in the ranking. Like we talked about too, Louisville's looking really good. They're 21-7. They've actually went down in the rankings once. They're now 12th, but I mean that's a good team too. And Kentucky baseball. I mean, let's mention them. 18-11. Kind of been struggling here and there, but they're still, they got to do better in conference play. They're 3-6 in conference play. So if they can do better, maybe they can crack into the top 25. But I don't know if
Hold on.
that'll happen.
Real quick, can you tell me, does Louisville play Eastern this year?
They do.
Later in the season.
Later.
The
Season.
winner of that will, in my opinion, will determine King of Kentucky for baseball because Eastern has beat everyone else. They beat
Yep.
Northern, they beat UK, they beat Western,
And Bellarmine. Yeah.
and Bellarmine.
Yeah,
So it comes down to Louisville and Eastern for King of Kentucky.
That's going to be fun matchups.
that's gonna be fun.
And they beat them last year.
They did.
Sure did.
I'm excited.
And SC top 10 play in that game too.
I'm excited.
Shout out to the KU sports production crew.
There you go.
All right.
Well, that's our college baseball and MLB segment on the Subs and 15 podcast.
All right, we are actually at a segment worth discussing.
Oh,
The NBA. Abby is over there warming her
excited.
hands because this is actually our segment. I'm so happy. We're going to get started. All right. The Lakers, as Derek so eloquently said before recording, they suck. I don't think that is the professional way to put it, but they are very bad this year. And I think that obviously we talked about before. It's something that we were expecting. I hate to say it. I mean, everyone kind of maybe had this feeling that LeBron and AD would be able to pull something out, get them in the playoffs, maybe make a run. It's just not happening. Their most recent loss was to the upstart Suns. I wouldn't even call them upstart. They've run away with the West. I mean, as we've said once again, they lost 121-110 without LeBron. They dropped to, I think, 31-48, which is atrocious. They currently sit in 11th, a couple of games behind San Antonio, which means they are full-fledged out of the play-in of the playoffs. It's going to be odd not seeing LeBron in the playoffs. What's you guys' thoughts? Abby.
It's been a disappointing season. Coming in, you see Westbrook, James, Carmelo. You're like, okay, maybe we're gonna get something going here. But unlike in 2004 when they had Karl Malone and Gary Payton at the end of their careers, did not turn out the same way. They're not making it to the finals, getting eliminated. Yes, LeBron's been hurt. Yes, AD's been hurt. But there's just no excuse at this point for being the way they are.
I'm waiting for my belt league.
Oh yeah, are you?
Yeah, waiting for the Bell League to show up.
It's happening.
Oh,
We're going
we'll
to see
see.
Philadelphia and the
no,
Lakers play.
I think this is the second time in his career, the first one being his rookie season, that LeBron's had a losing record.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the game, like not necessarily his team, but like in the games he's played in, this is the second time ever he's had a losing record.
Mm-hmm.
So now, are we going to say this is like him not having help, which we've always said in the past, he's been fine not having help? Or is this like a decline in his career? You know, is this like coming near the end? So, that'll be interesting to see. MVP pick for me, still doing amazing. Still in second place. I don't think Golden State's catching him.
No, not at this point.
Abby's Mavs are making a push to,
Yep.
take third over Golden State. I think Golden State, by the end of it, I think they could fall to fifth. I could see that.
Mm-hmm.
They're not good right now. They're not winning. So,
I don't know if there's enough time for them to fall to fifth, but they can definitely fall to fourth. And
Yeah.
actually, that was something that I was wanting to point out, is that each Golden State and Dallas have 3 games left. Dallas has Detroit, or they go to Detroit, then they host Portland and San Antonio. San Antonio being a play-in team, Portland and Detroit not. And then for Golden State, they host the Lakers, then they go to San Antonio and to New Orleans, who both New Orleans and San Antonio are play-in, playoff type teams. So it's interesting because I look at it and you see that, Dallas has slowly crept their way up. They've been fighting for these seeds. They took over Utah in that fourth, and they've just absolutely ran past Utah. They're a couple games ahead, and now they're trying to chase that third. And I think they can do it. I really do, with the injury to Golden State and with that, just the discombobulation with that lineup and that coaching staff. So it'll be really, really interesting to see for instance, if we get a Dallas and Denver first round. That would be fun. Jokic in like a depleted Nuggets defense, but potentially the MVP, because right now, the last few weeks, he's been number one on any sort of MVP tracker. Nikola Jokic is going to be back-to-back MVPs for the most part. As Derek shook his head no with his jaw.
Luka and
But
John.
it would be fun to see Luka and Jokic go at it in the first round, and what could potentially be a really fun 6-7 game series. What's your thoughts on that?
I see the Mavs finishing this out 3-0. I don't see them losing unless, God forbid, something happened to Luka. But if it were to be Dallas and Denver, I think it'd be exciting. We've got Jokic down low, but I don't know, there's just something about the Mavs right now that they're hard to stop. Jokic, if he's got an off night, who's going to step up? I don't know.
I will say their last 3 games, Detroit 14th in the East, Portland 13th in the West, and then San Antonio 10th in the West. So it's not like they have hard opponents here.
Yeah.
So
It'll be an easy way to finish the season.
Yeah.
But then jumping into the playoffs against a harder opponent, will that affect them at all? I don't know.
I don't know. I think they'll be okay.
Yeah.
I think Luka,
Luka's going to do what Luka's going to do.
exactly.
He's
my MVP pick.
yeah.
He was my MVP
Mine
pick.
too.
Yeah.
see.
So staying out in the
Selfishly.
West, just kind of to keep up with our news, because a lot is happening.
Oh, yeah.
Denver and Minnesota both take really bad losses. Denver, who has yet to clinch a playoff spot, may I add. That's an important factor here. They lose to San Antonio, as we described earlier. They're a play-in team. And then the Timberwolves, who are another play-in team trying to vie for that 6th spot. There are 2 games left. They still could potentially catch them. They lost to the Wizards at home. That's an
Hurts.
awful loss for these playoff teams, or trying to catch and get into the playoffs, or trying not to fall into the play-in. Just horrible losses.
I mean, yeah, they're 5-5 in their last 10 games, but they've had a tough stretch. I mean, they played Dallas in Dallas, they played Phoenix, then they played Dallas at home, then they played at Boston, at Toronto. That's tough to like try and overcome that. So I mean, yeah, like this is a bad loss with the Wizards, but those other 4 losses you can't really dog them on, because those are like some top teams. Obviously, Dallas we talked about was 4th, Phoenix is 1st by a mile, and then Boston is making a really good push on the East side. So
Yeah.
like they've kind of hit like where I think, we've talked about how they've had such a good post All-Star, run. They've kind of hit that wall of like, here's our hard teams where we have to finish the season out. So
Before we fully hop over to the East, the kind of last tidbit of news, because of the Denver loss, Utah clinches a playoff spot. And Utah's an interesting squad because they have a lot of, I feel like it might be blown out of proportion because of the media, but Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert are not necessarily the best of friends anymore. And there's a lot of speculation that one or both might get dealt this summer. So it'll be interesting, in my opinion, to see how they would be in a playoff situation. They're not going into the play-in, and right now they would play Dallas if Dallas doesn't catch Golden State. But if they get either or Golden State or Dallas, that history of choking, what do you guys think?
I mean, you can't deny, though, their skill that they have. Donovan Mitchell, I mean, when he turns that switch, he is on fire. So, I mean, like you said, though, if they're struggling together to connect there, that could hurt them in the playoffs. And I could see them losing in their first game, in the first round there.
Especially if they have to play Dallas.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
That would be rough.
If they get Golden State, there's a shot.
Yeah.
Because even if Steph comes back, it's going to be I don't think there's any world he comes back 100%. So it'll be really, really interesting to see how that fares. Moving out to the East, the Cavs. They lost to Orlando, dealing a devastating blow, but also, you guys see the name on the side of the beanie. That clinches Chicago's playoff spot. No play-ins. We love to see that here on Subs in 15. The Bulls doing well. Awful against the top seeds in any conference.
Yeah.
They're very, very bad. But that doesn't mean anything because the Bulls are in the playoffs and they're fighting for that fifth seed against the Raptors, who have slowly climbed the way out of the play-in, for a long time regarded as one of those teams you do not want to play in the play-in as 1 or 2 seed. Now you don't, because they're probably going to get Philadelphia. The Raptors have won they've gone 13-6 since the beginning of March, which is a pretty, I would say good. It's not like great, but it's a pretty decent. What do you think of the Raptors, Abby?
You kind of write them off after a while, but they're making a comeback. We don't see a lot out of them. They don't have as much star power as they used to. They're not making that big title push, but you just can't count them out always. Like, they're always going to be in that playoff mix. It doesn't matter where they are, but they're always going to be there. And I think that keeps teams on their toes a little bit, because you're like, maybe this is our year, but maybe it's not. You don't really know. But what I want to see is Milwaukee and Boston and Miami fight it out to see who's going to get number 1. It's going to come down to the last games. Obviously, they're very close in these rankings, but who do you see coming out on top?
Talking about those, Boston, Milwaukee, and Philadelphia are all tied right now at 2.5 games back from Miami. So,
Pretty sure Miami has actually locked up 1.
they've clinched their division. They haven't locked up 1 yet.
I'm pretty sure they have, because there's only a few games left.
There's
only
3
2
games
games
left,
left.
and they're 2.5 games
2
up.
games for the Heat left.
So the Heat have to lose all 3, and Boston, Milwaukee, or Philadelphia have to win all 3.
And then if all those do, then it's going to come down to tiebreakers.
Yes. But if Miami wins 1 game, they've locked up the 1. So looking at like their schedule that's left, they have Atlanta and Orlando.
Yeah.
So
I wouldn't sleep on Atlanta, though. Orlando, I understand, but
but like looking at those 2, surely you can pull a win out of either one, right?
Oh yeah, definitely you should if you're the number 1 seed.
Especially Atlanta's at home, so I think they'll be fine. I think they'll get the 1. But talking about the 2 through 4 all being tied, that'll be very interesting to see. I think Boston gets the 2. It's they're 2 right now because of tiebreakers. I think they stay at 2, and I think Philadelphia jumps Milwaukee to 3 for Milwaukee to 4.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. See, Boston's I would argue the best defensive team in the league. They're so good on that side of the ball, especially post All-Star break when, as we talked, you cut out Dennis Schroeder, you trade him, and he was the main issue in the locker room and in the lineup. You get rid of him, you have your 8-9-man rotation. And I know I've talked a lot about Boston because I honestly, I really think they're my team that I'd pick to come out of the East, just because, that is now in jeopardy because Milwaukee is the closest to health they've been all year. Brook Lopez went off last night, and so, but I think I'd still ride with Boston. Who Abby do you have coming out of the East?
It's going to be tough. I'd like to see Boston come out of it. Just feels good to get them over that hump, but they've got a tough way to finish the regular season. They go to Chicago, they go to Milwaukee, and they go to Memphis. So that's not the Orlando, OKC, those kind of teams finish out the season, especially trying to clinch that number 2 seed. It's gonna be tough ending, but it'll be like a preview of later in the playoffs, hopefully. Celtics, Bucks, can they compete?
That will be. I hope they hold on to 2 and 3 just so we could potentially see that Eastern Conference Finals.
That'd be exciting.
That would be so much fun.
You know, I did see Embiid said if he does not win MVP this year, the league hates him.
I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, but to his point, he's first in points per game and 5th in rebounds per game. So he's having an unreal season.
He's showing it,
Right.
yeah.
No,
But-
I completely agree. Like I've had Embiid picked and dubbed as my MVP, regardless if he wins it or not. He was my prediction, and now I'm saying like he, in my mind, he is. It'll probably go to Jokic, as we've said. Another guy that's
I don't know. Jokic isn't having that.
I just don't agree with that.
Jokic is 9th in points, and I think he's second.
It's not
in
so
rebounds.
much. It's not just about stats in this instance because I feel like those
So
can
it's
be
the best player
misleading.
on the best team.
Well, not just that
So-
even because Denver is in 6th. It's more of Denver is so injured. They're so hurt. Like their bench is really bad at times. They haven't had Jamal Murray. They haven't had Kevin Porter Jr. It is more of he has led them to where they are at. Without him, they are nothing. It's like why I picked Embiid in the first place because Embiid didn't have a side star. He had he had a lot of really good pieces around him, and I felt like he was doing better. But when you look at it now, Embiid for a little while now, I mean, not a long time, but a little bit has had that help, and Jokic hasn't. And Jokic is still kept Denver in that playoff seat, and there's still a potential they win a series or two. So I think that's why they go Denver or go Nikola Jokic, and I completely understand. But like what you said, like I don't think it's a the league hates him kind of deal for Embiid. I think that's more of a desperation kind of like I know I'm going to lose. Like I said, I still think Embiid should be the MVP. But Jokic, I understand. Even though his numbers aren't as gaudy, he's got to do more.
Then why not Booker though? Like you said, like
Best player on the
Jokic
base
didn't
yeah,
have
best
help. Booker lost Paul for a while. You know, he was
It's
kind
not
of
the same.
I mean, I understand, but like Booker's been doing it on his own for a while.
No, you're right. But that Phoenix team, even without Chris Paul, is still stacked. Like they still have a deep bench. They've got a great rotation, whereas Denver doesn't. You know, like it. And I get what you're saying, and I actually had made that argument that he should be, and now he is. He's 5th in the MVP vote or MVP race right now. I get that, but Jokic, it's different. It's all a different situation. I feel like the closest one you can compare is Embiid, and I think that the voters are looking at Embiid as the one doing it, or not Embiid, but Jokic is the one doing it better.
I can see that, but I mean, I'm still liking Devin Booker though for the MVP race. I mean, they have 63 wins, franchise record for the Suns, best team, best player on the best team. I mean,
That's
I think
how.
he has an upper hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we shall see there. But also, I'm looking at the Bucks too. I feel like talking about the East though, I feel like they could bump up there and get us, first or second in the East because they have the Celtics coming up, Pistons, and Cavaliers. Not too hard. I mean, if they win 2 of 3 of those, that would make them. That could bump them up there. So I'm liking the Bucks though for the
So wait,
East.
you said the Bucks play the Celtics.
They play Celtics. Yep.
So I think that's your 2 seed lockup right there. The winner of that game
Whoever
gets your
wins
2.
that. Yep.
I don't know who. Let's see, who does Philadelphia play? Philadelphia plays Toronto, Pacers, and not the Sixers, the Pistons.
I think so.
Be
Not
too
much
easy
there. I
wins.
mean, like Toronto's, like don't get me wrong, Toronto's in the playoffs. You know, they're a tough win, especially being in Toronto. But the Pacers and the Pistons are rollover
Yeah.
teams.
They're easy.
Oh yeah, we're rounding out, as you probably have heard the buzzer sound already. We're rounding out. I'm going to say this little tidbit, last bit of news. Brooklyn and Atlanta. We talked about Atlanta a little bit. They're vying for the top seeds in the play-in, the 7 and the 8. Currently, or most recently, Atlanta did beat Brooklyn in Atlanta, 122-115. It was a great game, but Brooklyn still holds that tiebreaker. And last night, we talked about Atlanta losing. Brooklyn with the tiebreaker and Atlanta's loss, even though their records are identical. Brooklyn jumps Atlanta, so Atlanta is now in the 9-10 seed games, which means that Atlanta would have to win 2 games, including the loser of the 7-8, which is going to be between Cleveland and Brooklyn as of right now, to get into the playoffs. Right now, if you're one of those top 2 seeds, you have to hope that somehow Brooklyn falls down to the 10-9 with Atlanta. So one of those 2 teams get knocked out, and then hope that the loser of Charlotte-Cleveland can win that game and then knock out the other. But I highly doubt that'll happen. I think Brooklyn gets 7, and I think Atlanta gets 8. Even if Atlanta has to win 2 games.
And Cleveland.
Oh, I don't think Cleveland makes it because and this is how we're ending the show. I promise. Jarrett Allen and I about to say Jarrett Jack. Good lord, that's a name from
That
a
is
while
old.
ago.
Wow, yeah.
Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley, they're two of their best players that have really led them to where they are. This upstart young team are hurt. Evan Mobley will win Rookie of the Year. But without them, even if they do come back and they're not 100%, they don't come out of the play-in. There's just Atlanta and Brooklyn are healthy, and Atlanta's healthy. They still don't have John Collins, but the point is they're the better teams. And that's the show. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Abby, for being on our show.
Thanks for having me.
Next week, if you liked what you heard from Abby, she's going to fill in for our host, Zach. He's abandoning us.
No.
And it's just
Throw the man under the bus.
Wow.
I'm just messing. I'm
We'll
just
give a
kidding.
shout out though to our
I'm just
SPJ
kidding.
chapter. First Amendment Week. So check us out next week. We got all kinds of events going on.
He's missing for a really good cause. I
Yes,
promise. I'm just
good
messing with
stuff.
you. But yeah, Abby will fill in. If you like what you see, subscribe, follow wherever you're watching us, listening to us. We apologize for a weird episode. Baseball really went over the edge.
Grapefruits.
The grapefruit. I don't know why that really, but that sent me.